Hi, and welcome back to U.S. History with Mr. Snyder. And today we are going to be talking about Chapter 6, Section 2, and the westward invasion of the white settlers against the American Indians. Here are your learning targets for today. We're going to analyze the way the Native Americans viewed and used the land and versus the way that the whites viewed and used the land, and the threats that white settlers presented to them. We're also going to talk about conflicts between the white settlers and Native Americans, conflicts being individualized, but then we're also going to talk about the Indian Wars, which were the constant battles between the Indian tribes and the U.S. government. And then we'll talk about the government solution to the Indian issue. So Indians usually see themselves as a part of nature. They share the land with one another, and they use it to survive. If they kill a buffalo, they use every part of the buffalo. Even they shape bones into tools. So they use every part that they can because they see nature as sacred. Whites, on the other hand, opposite of the Indians, see land as a way to produce wealth. And when gold and silver is found in the West and the whites want it, they will do anything they can to get their hands on that land and to take it away from the Indians. Railroads also need land to be built on, and so railroads in the West mean big business for railroad companies, so they want to be able to build on the land that belongs to the Indians, and the whites are going to take it. In the 1850s, Indians are forced onto what are called reservations, and I'm sure you're all familiar with that term. It's a specific area set aside by the government for Indian use and where they live. And they were not that happy about it. They were used to roaming the plains, and they were tied to one spot. A lot of them were very, very sad after that. They weren't used to that way of life, and it didn't jive with them. Some conflicts. Plains Indians in the plains see life slipping away. They see their way of life slipping away, so they attack. Sioux Indians attack settlements in Minnesota because that they believe that that was their land. So they are pushed back into North Dakota and South Dakota. That's one conflict. Another major conflict was the Sand Creek Massacre. And this was a unprovoked attack by John Chivington and his troops on Indians in Colorado. I believe they were actually raising an American flag as a sign of friendship, and the U.S. soldiers just attacked them and killed all of them, women and children too. And after that, federal troops were sent west after the Civil War to subdue Indians and their attacks on whites. The Fetterman Massacre is when Red Cloud and his Indians killed Fetterman and his troops. And the U.S. after this concludes that peace could only come if the Indians learn how to farm and, quote-unquote, assimilate to white life. And we'll go over assimilation here in a little bit. But the Indians cannot live only farming, and they drift away illegally from their reservations to hunt. Now the Indian Wars, the Red River War down south, you'll see that on your map. The Red River War on the Red River around Oklahoma and Texas led to the defeat of the Southern Plains Indians and led to the white settlement of western Texas. And the Battle of Little Bighorn, which we've discussed in class, the Sioux Indians, led by Sitting Bull and Crazy Horse of the two major tribes, get together to try to drive the whites out of North Dakota and Montana. And U.S. Army and General George Custer arrive there ready to take on the Indians, and they think they can win with just a few hundred men, but each of them were scalped and slaughtered during this battle because they faced thousands of other Indians. The Nez Perces, the U.S. moved them to a reservation, and they refused to go, so they actually flee to Canada, and they are met at the border and stopped and actually have to surrender to the United States government, and they're forced to stay there. The Wounded Knee Massacre takes place because of the ghost dance, which the elders of all the tribes came up with, and they said they saw it in a dream that if they do this dance, they will banish the white settlers. The buffalo will come back since they had been depleted because of all the whites hunting and simply for sport as well. And the troops in South Dakota were sent in because they didn't know what these Indians were doing. They thought they were doing some sort of dance that would banish them all away. So they decided to kill them all. Over 100 Indians, women and children included, anybody who was doing the dance. And it was just purely a massacre. Now on to your last learning target. Two government solutions that they come to. One is the Dawes Allotment Act, as in allotting land to people. It replaces the reservation system that Indians were banished to reservations. Each individual Indian family was granted a certain amount of acres to farm, and this land could not legally be sold or transferred to anyone else for 25 years. And that was in the hopes that younger Indians would assimilate to the practice and become more white, so to speak. And this is all part of assimilation, or one group adopting the practices and fitting into another group. And that is all for today. I hope you learned something about the Indian Wars and the expansion of whites into the West. And I'll see you later. Goodbye.